A Scanner Darkly is a 1977 novel by the American author Philip K. Dick. Dick was born in Chicago in 1928, but his family quickly relocated to California, where he stayed for most of the rest of his life. He began writing science fiction in the 1950s, and in 1963 won the Hugo Award for The Man in the High Castle. He became addicted to drugs early in life, and from the 1970s he began to experience serious mental health issues. He died in 1982 at the age of 53. Nowadays, he's widely regarded as one of the greatest science fiction writers of all time. His extensive hallucinations, his paranormal experiences, and his religious visions, far from interrupting his writing process, actually fed into it, making his work as profound as it's often dark. His personal beliefs are complex, but seem to have included panentheism, the idea that God is both the physical universe and something over and above it, plus the idea that the world as we perceive it is not fully real, plus a heterodox version of Christianity. A Scanner Darkly is a semi-autobiographical account of his drug addiction. In a short author's note at the end, he talks about the real people in his personal circle on whom some of the characters in the novel were based. There is no moral in this novel, he says. It's not bourgeois. It does not say they were wrong to play when they should have toiled. It just tells what the consequences were. He then lists 15 of his friends who recently died through drug addiction or became seriously disabled. A Scanner Darkly does have a science fiction element, but it's underdeveloped. Substance D is a highly addictive drug whose long-term use can destroy the links between the brain's hemispheres. There's a bit of science fact about how that might play out, but the novel's main focus is on the drugs market in what would then have been the very near future. There are references to the Rolling Stones, Jimi Hendrix, and Janis Joplin, and at one point one of the characters says he was born in 1962, which, given other clues in the novel, would date its setting to around the 1990s. There's a strong Christian element. The title's an explicit reference to St. Paul in 1 Corinthians. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know, even as also I am known. Although there's no compromise with the underlying reality, there is a sense throughout the novel that there may be a transcendent realm. And that's partly what makes it so disturbing, as I'll try to show in a moment. Despite what Dick says about there being no moral in this novel, it is driven by compassion. There are good guys, but thanks to the pervasive paranoia, only questionably bad guys, and the official narcotics agency is presented sympathetically. Indeed, the novel's hero is a narc. What really distinguishes it, however, is its attempt to present the reader with the attractions of taking a drug like Substance D, D for death incidentally, without endorsing those attractions. That attempt scattered throughout the later parts of the novel, and a catalogue of quotations probably won't do it justice, so I'll try to represent it in the form of a thought experiment. Imagine someone comes up to you before you're born and says, you can choose between two lives. Life A will be a humdrum 80 years, or you can have life B, only 40 years long, but in terms of your inner experience, twice as good. Which would you opt for? If your answer was life B, what if you were offered 20 years, but 4 times as good? Or 10 years, and 8 times as good? Let's keep going. We're down to just 1 week of life now, but it's over 4,000 times as good. No amount of earthly experience can possibly provide that, so you'll enjoy the company of God and his angels, you'll travel to distant universes, and you'll feel yourself to be clothed in glory. Or would you still like the 80 humdrum years? I don't expect to live long, Donna, one of the novel's central characters, says in chapter 9. So what? I don't want to be around long. Do you? Why? What's in this world? Only drugs aren't real, you might say. But of course, as I've already said, Dick wasn't sure the world we're living in was real either. Not in any conventional sense. As I mentioned a moment ago, this is a disturbing novel, not just because it undermines conventional fictional presentations of drugs as either glamorous or sordid or evil, but because Donna's question, what's in this world, is ultimately inescapable. and in some circumstances, it may be difficult, which doesn't mean it can't have a good answer. Over to you.